Well, I hope so. I hope so. I don't think I've ever taught anybody to knit before, so I'm wishing everybody the best. Okay, so you need needles. I have 2 needles, and that's what you're going to need. These are short needles. I recommend when you're learning to knit at the beginning, you need better with a short needle. This is a thick needle. Okay, I'm going to show you something else. I think these actually are very thick needles, and they may be thicker than the ones you have, and that's good because these are, I think, a little too thick. This is probably a good thickness, but this is a long needle and this is a short needle, as you can see. And I think at the beginning you're better off with a short needle because you have to manipulate the needle. And then you need some wool. So we have 2 needles and we have some wool. And if the miracle happens, we might have a scarf or a blanket or something else. So we can begin with 1 needle. And we take our ball of wool and we need to take, I think, you're not going to cast on too many stitches, but like 1 foot and 2 feet, and measure that. And that's going to be hanging down somewhere. And then you're going to keep the other wool on the ball. And then you're going to take the needle in your left hand. You're going to take the wool in your right hand. The secret, and I'm not really 100% sure I'm going to tell you all these details, but holding the wool and the needle in the right way at the beginning is very important, because otherwise your needle is going to be sort of, you know, like, and your wool is flying around too. So you put the needle in your left hand and you hold the wool at the beginning. I would use it just between your thumb and your first finger for now. Okay. And I'm very wrong. And now I'm going to put my needle in my right hand. And I'm going to start with this long thread that just is a long thread. And I'm going to wrap it around the needle. You see that? And it makes a loop. I'm trying to show you, it doesn't matter if it's big actually, because it can, you know, but the wool, to show you this, when you go around, it has to be across at the bottom. Can you see that? And then hold that part when the wool crosses over, and hold that firm. You can even hold it and squidge up and hold your needle if you want, so that that needle is really steady. Okay, so now my needle is flopping already. You're going to keep that needle between your thumb and your first finger if you can. Hold it firm. And if you need help to keep it still, you can actually take this wool in your left hand and hold it on the needle. Then you're going to take the wool from your right hand that goes on the ball and wrap it around the needle. Just wrap it around. Then you're going to take your left hand and scoop that loop over. And then you just pull it tight. And I think that's probably, how are the other people doing it? Is that, because I think they're casting on in a different way. Were you able to follow that, all you knitters? No sound.
Sorry.
You see, there's a lot of different ways to cast on. So you may not cast on the same way as I'm showing, but I thought this was kind of a easier way, you know, one of the easiest ways to cast on. So I didn't know if you were trying to do it also. It's just me.
I think I got it. I'm not
yeah,
sure
we're trying to follow you.
Yeah, so you wrap it around. Make sure it's crossed over like a proper loop. Hold it tight against the needle. Then get the wool from the other side and wrap that around. And then you can take the loop over. and then you can just pull it tight. You can keep it quite big. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have it too small because you can pull the 2 threads and make it. So we try again, make that loop. It's very important. Then wrap it around. And now you see I'm making a mess. So don't worry if you make a little mess, you just stop again. Okay, around, then the wool around and take the first one over. There you've got 3 stitches now. Are you able to follow that, Donovan?
I'm trying, I think so.
Oh, by the way, I was looking online because there are quite a few people, you know, teaching you how to knit. And one person did say that it is very hard for anyone under 7 years of age to really learn how to knit. So some people probably can, but you know, sometimes you try and learn something too early, it doesn't work for you. So don't feel badly. It's a good age from 7 upwards that knitting becomes a sort of an easy process. So try it again, go around the needle, make that loop, cross it over, hold it together, then go around the needle from the other side and pull the other one over. Around again, around, and pull that loop over. I thought today we would try and cast on 20 stitches. So over the needle, make the loop, pull it together so it's a crossover there, hold the crossover, then go around with the other wool. Sometimes it's hard to keep that needle still, I find, in your hand. That's why you try and hold it, you know, between the thumb and the first finger. And you can, if you've got some stitches on there, you can move them around on the needle. It doesn't matter if you want to push them a little forward. Okay, round, make that loop. Hold it steady. And then wind the wool around and over with the loop. Another stitch. I think we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. Make that loop, remember. Cross over the wool, hold the crossover point, and then round the needle and pull the first loop over. It doesn't matter, you can stretch it because you're going to pull that, and then it'll go on the needle. Again, over the needle, hold it, the other wool around, and pull the loop over. How is everybody doing? Do you all have stitches?
I don't think I'm doing this correctly.
Can you hold your needle up a minute, Donovan? And
yeah, I just took it off though because I knew that I wasn't doing it correctly.
Okay, fine. So, okay, watch again. So, over and hold it where it's crossover, hold it. Mm-hmm. And then put the other wool around the needle, take the loop over. Over the needle, hold it, around, hold, and then take the other one over. Around the needle.
Donovan, do you need to start from the beginning, or are you okay?
I do.
Okay.
But
can you start from the beginning?
I'm sorry.
Making that first knot. I know that's hard because you've cast on now.
Oh, I could go back easily.
Just because I think he took it completely off, so he needs that first knot.
Okay, so if you've got it going, leave it, but if not, okay. Whoops. Did we do over and hold it? Okay. Hold it there where the crossover is. You must have
like
that
right?
If you don't have the crossover, then it won't work. So it's essential, you know, that those that there's a crossover from that, you know, one going one way and one going the other. Got that?
Hold it
Yeah.
up, Donovan. Hold it up again.
Like that, right? Just like a loop around it.
Yeah, a loop, yes, crossover.
Okay.
Hold that loop so it stays looped like that. Perfect.
Okay.
Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because you've got a long needle there. And then you need to try and keep that your needle as steady as you can as you put the other wool over it. Just put it over it.
Which part do I put over it? Sorry.
Sorry?
Which part do I put over it?
The wool, you've got the one that you made with the crossover.
Yeah.
So it's the one going to your right that's going to the big ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got that? So that one is the one you need now to take that on with your right hand and just wind it over the needle. Just put it over the top.
Okay.
Got that?
Yeah.
Now you take the loop that you made and just take it off and over that piece of wool, and that'll give you a stitch.
Okay. Take the loop off of the needle.
Yeah, first loop, take it over the one you just put over.
Okay.
And then you should have a stitch.
And then do I
And then
pull
you
it tight?
pull the piece to the left. Maybe I'm going the other way around from you.
I got it. Yeah,
this
I got
one.
it. Cool.
Pull it. Oh,
You
you
got
can
it,
pull
Donna?
both of them.
Yeah.
Let's see it first. Ah, Donovan's knitting.
Good,
feel so
good. Now we
accomplished.
just repeat that forever. It's just, okay, so you do the one that does it go to the ball first on the, and then you put it over your needle and make sure you've got it, hold it where the crossover is. It's very essential to hold that crossover because that really makes a stitch. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, then you take the other wool that goes, the whole length into the ball and just go over the needle, just over the top of the needle. And if you put it over your first finger, you can sort of hold it there tight, or, and then you just take the loop, the first loop that you made, just made now, then you take it over and that'll give you the stitch. So now you should have 2 stitches.
If anyone has a question or is getting lost, speak up and stop Valerie and she'll help you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, please. I'd much rather you ask questions.
Is that okay?
Let's see.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yes, great.
Okay.
Is that a new way for you to cast on? Because you knit already, don't you?
I do it a little bit different. I started with
Yeah.
yours, and then instead I take my 4 fingers and I scoop the yarn, and then I
Yeah, okay. You see, yeah, okay. You see, I'm not sure for different people if different ways are easier. I mean, I went through all these different ways online, and I kind of came back to this one as being like almost the fewest moves in it, but it's interesting because there are so many. I mean, there's only one way to knit once you've done the casting on, but there are many different ways of casting on stitches. Okay, what about James? Okay. So Donovan, how many stitches have you got on now?
I just
Oh,
did
yeah. Have you done this way or the way that you do it normally?
I do it like this. I knit and then
And then you put the stitch on.
I put it back
yeah,
on.
that's what we do.
Yeah, you see, I think that's a good way to do it when you know how to knit. You see what I
Yeah.
mean? Once you've learned how to knit, I think that's a really good way because you're just really knitting the stitches onto the needle.
Yeah.
But when you're starting, it doesn't really, I think it's more complicated when you're starting, but I could be wrong. Anyway, let's stay with this one for now, with Donovan. How are you doing, Donovan?
I'm a little lost again. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Don't worry. No, that's fine. It's very simple when you know how, but it's quite complicated when you start. So have you got the 2? Show me your needle a minute. And then
I just have the first one still.
Okay, so go around
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
around, hold it. You've got quite
Which
a long.
which
Pardon?
part do I go around with? The one that's like the long one that's attached to the yarn, like the ball of yarn?
The beginning one is always the one that's just, you know, the loose length. That's
Okay,
your
okay.
first one. That's the one you make the, you know, the little crossover with. And then you take the one that's attached to the ball of wool. So do your crossover.
Got it.
Then you take the other length of wool and just go over the top of the needle.
Do you want her to do that one more time over the top?
Yeah, please.
Oh, it's fine.
Sorry.
No, you've got, no, that's okay. Let me see. Now you've got your little loop over, cross
Mhm.
over there. And then you just take the other that goes to your big ball of wool and just put it over the top in front of that loop.
Okay.
And then you take the loop and take it off the needle. You go over the top of that piece of wool, the second one. Just take it off. You see, I've got, you know, you can pull it up if you want it bigger, because it doesn't matter. And then you just take it over that piece and then take it off the needle. And it'll be big like that. And then you just pull either the wool and it'll go tight.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so make the loop, yeah.
then
And
go the other wool over, just over the needle.
just like that.
Yep. And then
And then
you
just
take,
pull the loop.
and then the loop, go back to the, just leave it over. Yeah. Then go back to
Okay.
the loop
And
and
pull
then
it over.
pull it up, the loop.
Pull it like over the needle.
Over, just right over there. Yeah.
Mm. Oh. I don't want the whole thing to come off. Okay. And then pull it tight.
And pull it tight. And that should be a stitch.
And let's
Yeah.
see, Donna,
Okay. It worked.
it works? Is that right, Val?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now on to number 2.
Wow. This is so much harder than I ever thought it would be.
They say this is great for the brain, right? Isn't it very good for the brain, knitting, Valerie?
Oh,
Doesn't it
definitely.
help the left and right brain work together?
That's why you're a genius.
Yeah, of course.
It's, you know, it's really funny, but I think, you know, getting the movement and everything is tough at the beginning. And then, you know, once you can do it, you can do it forever. It's like riding a bike, you know. So you go over your needle, Donovan. Make your loop over the needle.
I got it again. Nice.
Good.
All right.
And then
I think I got
pull it over.
the hang of it now.
Yeah, I think once you get the hang of it, you'll get the hang of it. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
And then the wool just over and then pull the loop over. And again, that loop, you can stretch it or do it, you know, whatever, to make it easy. Yeah. You think you've got it? How many?
Yeah, I have 4 now or 5 now.
Oh, great. Okay.
If
Well-
I'm doing it correctly.
How many are we going to do in a row? What should they aim for?
Well, you know what? Well, now if Donovan's doing okay, well, I was thinking, are we going to knit little squares? Like, you know, like I was thinking about 25 stitches. But
Why 20? Should I have 5 more?
well, you see, it depends, you know, it would be nice if the pieces were close to the same size, but you know, this is thinner wool, so I think I only put, you know, I was just messing around. There may only be 20 or that. Let me just see how many I put on this one. I think 25 would be good. If we put, I have 20 or 25. What you put on? How many have you put on right now? Carol and James and Jolie.
I had
I did
20,
20, but I
no.
just pulled it out because I thought we were gonna do 25, and I already did a row. So yeah, I'll do
James.
25.
Okay, well, let's say 25 then, shall we? If you're going to do it again and the others can put another 5 on, would that make sense? We make a square of 25. I'm not, okay. Let's see, then we have, now you're asking me intelligent questions like 25 stitches, 25 rows, but I think this was 20, but if it's 20, but it's not quite square, but that doesn't matter when we stitch them together. I think 25 is a good size.
And I feel like sometimes people lose your little like stitches sometimes when you're knitting, so maybe 25 is good.
Yeah, I think so, because you know, if you get a lot of tiny ones and stitching them together, I think, you know, 25 would be a good number. Now, how is Donovan doing?
I'm doing good. I got the hang of it now.
I think you get an A++ with the first 10 minutes.
Oh.
So, I guess we're all going to, we're going to knit the little, the idea was to knit squares, and then we would stitch the squares together to make like a patchwork blanket or shawl. And so if people join us and you know, when they see the Zoom and they learn to knit or they enjoy knitting, it would be great if we could encourage people to cast on 25 stitches and knit maybe 25 rows. And somehow they will work out how to bring them together, and then we will put together a nice shawl blanket. Do you think that would be good to everybody?
So nice.
That'd be great.
We could even talk about what the kids and young adults, Donovan, what would be a good cause, who would be a good recipient, or what would be a good cause that we could donate this blanket to? I know in the past, Valerie, didn't you knit for penguins?
You know, we never really did that, but we thought about it. Exactly. We should go online and see, because I think, what was it? Penguins were dying or something.
Yeah, you're the one that told me about that.
Yeah, it was an amazing thing. I could Google and see, you know, sometimes, but it's awkward about getting them to places because they're always asking for blankets, for instance, for refugees who are in the cold weather and so on. But, you know, sometimes it's, how would you, you know, it's getting them to the, but sometimes there's a source in the country that, you know, please mail to, so we could look and see who needs them, you know.
I think in the past, blankets created by the Church by the Sea Knitting Group and even the kids knitting group a few years ago were donated to children at Children's Hospital, kids that were going through chemotherapy and their body temperature.
Right.
And
And also
give it to like COVID patients.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Karen.
Yeah.
COVID.
I was thinking even, you know, even the children at Chapman's house or something, or a child, but I think, you know, then that's a little complicated because there would be quite a few children and we wouldn't want to sort of isolate one, would we, particularly? But I'm sure that, you know, what is it? It's the John Nicholas Hospital now, isn't it? Or the Joe DiMaggio Hospital.
Yeah. Well, we could research it, and all of you that contribute to this blanket can research it as well if you'd like. You have an opinion, we can talk about who you think would be a good recipient.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. You know, I'm looking at, I'm going to show you this. Now this, excuse me, this little gray one is alpaca wool. And Christine Bernstein she had bought this wool and she wasn't going to knit it, so she passed it on. And it's interesting because the wool, alpaca wool, is very expensive actually, and it's very soft and probably softer than you know, sheep wool actually. But nowadays 90% of the wool you get has only got a small percentage of wool. It's mainly you know, synthetics and different things. But if you go to like these exclusive knitting shops and they have this special, you know, this wool from pure wool, and it's amazing. You can go for like $40 a ball or something. So
Jeez.
Valerie,
it's,
in Miami, where's a great place to buy wool, to buy yarn?
well, as far as Miami goes, the place is, as far as generally buying, Michael's has plenty. It has, you know, a reasonably good selection, and Walmart. But I haven't shopped at Walmart in such a long time. But to be honest with you, I don't know of a small private shop, wool shop in Miami, you know, that I found. I mean, lots of, you know, if you go to places like North Carolina and these small towns, there's often a beautiful wool store there, you know, with a lot of beautiful spinning wheel, and everything is pure wool. And there used to be one in Cocoa Village, but let me ask Chris and see. But a lot of people go online now, you know, and buy it online. But I don't know of one, you know, a really specialty shop around Miami. Because it's not a climate, is it, for wearing wool, I suppose. But it makes a difference. The last one I went into was in North Carolina. It was a lovely little shop. But as I say, a ball of wool was so expensive. I just couldn't bring myself to pay that much money for wool. But it's a very interesting, like cotton and wool, being natural fibers, they absorb water. So if you're wearing cotton or wool and you start to perspire, it will absorb, you know, the liquid, as it were. But like a synthetic won't. And that's why people, you know, didn't like wearing them where it was really hot, because they just make you feel hotter. So how are we doing?
I think I'm done.
Let's see yours.
Good. So you're cast on and ready to go, correct?
Yeah.
I'm not. How many? I'm still casting on, actually. How thick are those needles?
There are 6.0
Okay, your 6s are good, because somebody was listening, they said like 5s. I don't know what these are. These must be really big. I might transfer them. 10. Yeah, so yours is more this size, I think. It's a better size, yeah. Okay, so do you want to do now? Okay. You all know how to do this knit stitch, right? No, this stitch, knit stitch.
I don't think I think everyone but Donovan probably does.
Yeah, do they all know? Yeah.
I need a little reminder. So.
I mean, you all have learned to knit that. Do you know how to do purl as well?
Oh, yeah.
So you can do knit and you can do purl.
Yeah, and I can slip knot, I can slip knot, I can pull over slip.
Oh, so you're a real expert. Good, good. So you know how to decrease and increase and make lace and holes. And well, we can do you know, as we progress, we can try, you know, knit two together, put the wool around the needle, right? But no, I mean, if we're knitting, we'll see how far we can progress, you know, because it's good to have, you know, once you can do it, you know, solidly knit and purl and what have you, it's fun to do the other things, I don't think. How are you doing, Donovan?
Good. I think I've like around 15.
Oh, excellent. You're ahead of me now. That's good. Okay, so how much longer do we have, Gina?
Well, I think we can wind it up whenever you're ready, Valerie, if you feel like we need to do a bit more to complete this lesson, or if you feel like we're
I would just say that that's really great, because I think we've taught, you know, Donovan, I'm very, you know, has obviously been the perfect pupil, but maybe we should just go over for people who might be watching us, you know, if they've, just to go over the basics one more time. So I'm going to take my I'm going to take my started again. And then next week we maybe could do just a little cast on and then do more different kinds of stitches, which, you know, Carolyn and James and Jolie can do. And then every lesson add a little something, right? I mean, I think we just don't, I mean, it's difficult to know how many people are going to watch, and every week there might be somebody new. So maybe we should try to just go over the casting on every week briefly, while everybody else is just knitting, right? Okay, so I'm just going to do the first one, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Oh, put your wool over the needle, hold it together, and then take the yarn from the ball and just cross it over the needle and slip the first one off. Put it around, must be crossed. It's important that it has that crossover, and hold the crossover. Then take the wool from the ball of wool, put it just over the top of the needle, and then just slip the other one off. You can pull it to make it bigger, because you can just pull it with this strand of wool that doesn't go. That's just for the stitches. And then you put it over a loop, cross it over, make sure you've got the crossover. Take the other wool from the ball of wool, cross it over the needle, just put it over the top, and take the stitch and take it off, and then pull it, and you have another stitch. So do the circle. Has everybody here seen lambs and sheep?
Yes. Yeah.
In real,
Yes.
Good, because I was thinking that where do you go to see sheep in America? Because I don't think there are any, you know, in Florida it's too hot. And so I was thinking that a lot of children in, say in Florida, have never seen sheep.
Yeah.
Because I you know, I really, you'd have to go to the Carolinas maybe. I don't know.
Vermont, maybe.
Yeah, really, because I was thinking, to me it's really funny because I miss seeing sheep, and especially in spring when they have the lambs and everything, and you hear this little or whatever noise they make, and it's like, you know, because wherever you know, where I live, there were sheep everywhere, you know, because we had the moors, and actually they're very easy animals because you don't, they're much easier than cows. I mean, you put them out on the moors and they just eat the grass, and I mean, you can just sort of leave them out there all summer long. And then I don't know even, you know, that they ever really bring them in, like the cows into the cow sheds and what have you, and the horses into the stable. They're pretty hardy creatures.
I know that when we were in Belgium, people keep lambs and sheep just to keep the growth of the plants on their property
Right.
down, just to keep things trimmed. It's like a
They're
lawnmower.
kind of like a lawnmower.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. As they just, you know, they just eat the grass.
Yeah.
And they're not fussy. They don't, you know, they'll just eat that tough stuff on the moors. It's
Yeah.
not, you know, particularly juicy grass, I don't think.
We have a friend in Belgium that lives right next door to a sheep field, really, and the sheep lean over her fence and get the apples off her tree.
Tree.
Yeah. They're cute.
No, but you know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you know, when you think of the southern states in America, they're just not part of the farms at all, because it's just, I guess, too hot. The sheep, when I was a child, the city I lived in was a big woolen city, and the wool, the English sheep do not have the best wool, and so the best wool was from sheep in Australia and New Zealand, and so the people they were wool buyers, people that, you know, specialized in the quality of wools, and they would fly, I guess, or whatever it was, go to Australia and buy wool, and then they would ship it back in big bales to the UK. But I don't know anymore, you know, that there's much of that as a business anymore. Okay, one more time, and then around, make the loop, hold it, round, pull the loop over, another stitch, around, cross it over, hold the crossover, hold it, loop over the needle, put the other piece of wool around, just around it, and then pull the loop over. And there you have another stitch. So we're going to do 25, and then you could knit as many rows as you want between now and next Friday, correct?
Valerie, do they know how to change rows? Like, I think everyone but Donovan probably knows how to, when you finish one row, how you begin the second row?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you just, oh, okay, like turning the needle around from one hand to the other. Yeah, okay.
Donovan probably doesn't know that.
Let me see. Okay, because we're going to have to show him how to knit. How many stitches do you have on there now, Donovan?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 13. 12 is 13.
Okay, well, I mean, I think I think that possibly we should just this week let Donovan cast the stitches on, and then next week we'll do the knitting rows. What do you say? Because I don't want to confuse him now.
Sounds good.
Would that make sense to you, Donovan? I'm sure
Yeah.
you've got things to keep busy doing, and then we'll do that as the beginning of the next lesson if you do the 25 on, and then we'll do the knitting of the rows.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Because the other three are fine, aren't they? I mean, they can.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining.
And we might give James a little challenge. I think we'll ask James to do a little piece about the things that he can do, which, you know, he was just talking about. When we've done the basics, maybe like the 3rd or 4th week.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thank you to all the knitting students.
so much.
And thanks for Valerie for sharing your gifts and your expertise.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're welcome.
Thank
The thing
you.
we must just say that it's worth learning to knit, because it can be a very comforting thing to sit and do when you can knit. Do you all think that it's kind of a fun thing to do
Yeah.
and just calms you down?
Kind of a vibe.
Yes, definitely. Good. I can't watch TV if I don't have my knitting to knit while I'm sitting there. Have a great week.